So today, I'm going to be talking about how you can be the spin doctor of your own mind. So what does that really mean? I don't know if you know this, if it's like a global term, but a spin doctor is usually working for the government. And when things go wrong, there's a spin doctor, someone to be able to deal with that situation, to be able to take that information and put it in a way that the public will actually see it better. Now, of course, being a spin doctor can be positive for some and absolutely not very cool in other ways because they're really misguiding and misleading as to what's really happening in the world. So it's a bit of a weird one why I said to be the spin doctor of your own mind, because I'm really just taking the idea of what it really means and to do it with a congruency that actually works. I mean, that's all it is. So when you think about anything in life, whether it be a challenge, whether it be just going out socializing, you have a certain association or you have a certain perception of what that really means to you, because the world out there is very subjective in your world, okay? Looking through your own eyes or taking in through your five senses is very subjective. You never get to see anything objectively because you're operating from belief systems, you're operating from attitudes, you're operating from how you've reacted from past events which have led you to this point right now. It's based on language and culture. It's based on your personality type and I mean by like optimistic, pessimistic, big picture, small picture, all like the Myers-Briggs stuff. But ultimately, you're seeing the world in a unique way. You're seeing it based on what you believe is true. Okay, so you could go into one situation and see it as absolutely a horrible situation, a very pessimistic way, or you might see doubt, scarcity. You might feel that scarcity. You might just see it in a doom and gloom. However, that other person might be seeing it as a perfect opportunity to do something good. So we are all seeing things in different ways, and everyone will see things differently based on their past experience, their beliefs, their attitudes, their personality types, their values, all those things which I just mentioned a few minutes ago. So what I'm really saying here, what makes the difference between someone seeing something in a positive light, in an opportunity to grow or an opportunity to thrive, compared to that person who is seeing it as a negative situation or something which is holding them back, which is keeping them stuck. That's what I'm really talking about today. What are the fine qualities, the difference between the two? Because the chances are, if you have an issue in your life, you are seeing it in a certain way. You're seeing your issue, whether it be feeling stuck, whether it be self-sabotage, whether it be limiting thoughts, limiting beliefs, negative emotions, all those types of things. You're seeing it, you're associating based on all those things I've mentioned already. I don't want to have to keep repeating the list because it's quite an extensive list, but you're seeing that situation, you're seeing your issue, you're seeing your reality in a certain way. Now, if it's an issue, obviously it's in a negative way. If it's a positive way, that is great. There's nothing for us to spin in a new light. So by spin doctor of the mind, I mean, now how can we see that negative situation being something positive? How can we actually see it that it's an opportunity to move forward and grow rather moving backwards and retreating and not actually doing anything? Because we know that issues keep us stuck. The issues hold us back. The issues cause stress and pain in our mind and also in our body. That is not cool in my world, and I'm here to really help you overcome those things. And one of the ways we do that is changing our perceptions. That's exactly right, changing our perceptions. So you see, whatever you perceive to be true is absolutely true for you. And I think Henry Ford of Ford Motors once said, whether you think you're right or wrong, you're right. In other words, whatever you believe is right for you. It is based on your experience, and it's not actually reality. And that's the real key thing here, that your perception does not have to be a reality. Right now, it might be a reality for you. It might be a reality that you're going through, but it's not fixed. It's not set in stone, but that is a way that life is going to be for you. And it's really about how you see the world differently. You see, that your situation does not describe who you are, but it's more that your perception describes your situation. So if we change our perception, or we change our perception on the situation, we change our situation too. Because it's just seeing the world in a different light. Some people will get very scared by the news or by the media, and it will stop them doing things. For other people, they will not take that they might take it into consideration, but they refuse to allow external fear factors to be something to stop them. And that's what I want you to consider. How can you see the world in a different light, which will actually keep you safe still and support you? You see, many people will go into a situation and have many reasons as to why they are like they are. Let me give you an example. You might be single, you might be wanting to get into a relationship, and you see that person in a bar, in a restaurant, and as soon as you think about going up to that person, the thought which may pop into your mind is, what if I get rejected? What if I will look stupid? That happened in the past, I've had bad experiences, and automatically you've blocked yourself from progressing into a good or potentially good relationship. You see, your reasons, your past, you could say based on your past experience and what you believe, or your reasons as to why you are like you are, is really stopping you go toward that person. And you can change that in a dating world to a career progression, or it could be around money, it could be around your specific issue. If you have anxiety, low self-esteem, depression, you name it, the same thing happens. The reasons can get in the way because our past experience has brought us to this point, and based on that experience, we're going to see the world in that way. So my challenge to you is to consider the world in a different way. Consider that situation or your issue in a different way, which will actually move you from being stuck and being held back into a way which will allow you to, at the very, very least, to be able to move forward. Okay, so it's not about solving the issue right now. I mean, you might need more help than that. I mean, this one video might not completely resolve the whole depression or anxiety, although it can, don't get me wrong, because it definitely can. Things can change in minutes or even seconds at the right time. But what we have to do is begin to change how we see the situation. Some people will see climbing a mountain as an absolute trauma. Other people will see climbing a mountain as an absolute enjoyment and a challenge for them. People do these amazing feats like climbing Everest and all those things. Now, to me, in my mind, that seems like a nightmare. It's something that has never really been something what I want to do. And I see it in a way which is, I just don't want to do it. But other people will see climbing Mount Everest as the most amazing opportunity in the world. So what makes the difference there? Why is one person seeing something some way and another person seeing it a different way? Now, forgetting about that example of Mount Everest, because to me that's just not simply important. I mean, it's not saying that it makes me sing or makes me joyful climbing Mount Everest. But if we put in a situation between problem and goal, and that's where we can really start to make changes. So usually go into a situation, you see the world in a certain way, you begin to have reasons as to why you are like you are, or reasons as to why you can't go for what you want, or you have judgments based on what you believe what you can believe you can do. You see, many people with depression will literally say, I am a depressive person, or I am depressed, or I am a phobic, I have a driving phobia. And these I am statements are identity statements. They're things which is ultimately limiting us in such a way that saying, well, I can't do this because I'm depressed. I can't do this because I am a phobic. I can't do this because I have anorexia or I have bulimia. You name whatever the issue is. Usually if we have a I am before the issue, we're really saying to ourselves that we can't do something because that is our identity. Now, what I'm telling you is your issue does not have to be your identity. It can be a behavior that you're running, and it can seem very real, it can seem like it's your identity, but it is not who you are as a person. You're far more than your issue, you're far more than your goal, you're far more than any symptom. So what we have to do is begin to see the world in a different way and give up those labels and to realize that the past is a past and we can learn and we can grow from it and refuse to allow it to dictate where we're going in the future. Because if we learn and grow, that means we can let go of any of the doubts and the worries. So rather having whys as to why you can't do something, rather having these labels that we put on ourselves. I mean, if you were to imagine walking around the street and everyone had their own personal label, like I'm depressive, I have social phobia, I have all those whatever symptom they're going through, it'll be not a very nice sight, because those labels begin to really restrict us as to what we can do, and that changes your perception. That limits your ability, it limits your potential. So I want you to be able to see yourself not as your issue as being your identity, but it's a behavior that you're doing. It's a behavior you've been doing maybe for a long time, but it's a behavior nevertheless. And the more we begin to retrain our mind, we change our behavior, we change our results. So ask yourself, how can I be different? How can I go up to that person in a bar being calm and confident? You automatically get different results. Rather having, I can't get that promotion because I haven't gone to university, that, for example, ask yourself, how can I go and get that promotion? What do I have to do to be able to make that happen? Now, automatically, we're operating not from limitation, but absolute how and possibility. So we begin to see the world in a different light. Now, you can do this by yourself. You can begin to change how you see the situation. For example, if you see let's think of a good one, like, so you see going to the gym as the most traumatic experience you could imagine. Well, notice how you see that in your mind. Notice your association to that. Notice the pictures in your mind, the feelings that you have in your body, and then consider something. Oh, I think my Facebook is going. Okay, my back on Facebook, my internet went there for a second. So what I was saying, going to the gym, consider if you're seeing the gym in a very negative light, physically and emotionally and visually in your mind, like the hallucinations we make in our mind, consider something that you're very happy about, what you absolutely enjoy, and notice those associations in your mind. And if you map how you see the positive thing, and you think of the gym and you move that into how you see something very exciting, then you're going to respond to it in a different way. So it's all about changing your inner perception as to what you can do and how you can be different. That's the real key, like asking yourself different questions. If you ask yourself the same old questions, you're going to get the same old responses. And to be honest, your unconscious mind, as beautiful and wonderful as it is going to operate from a very simplistic way. So if you go, why can't I do this? Your unconscious mind's going to be the most beautiful thing and say, this is why, because you've done X, Y, Z in the past. You went through this situation, and you're going to get more and more reasons. But if you ask yourself, how can I do something different? Your unconscious mind, in the most beautiful and wonderful way again, will look for opportunities of how you can do something differently. So consider how you can spin your association to something. And it even goes to your issue as well. Maybe your issue, see, people see issues as the most debilitating thing. Now, I know I did at first when I had my anxiety. I thought this is the worst thing in the world, but I began to learn that actually it wasn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. It's actually one of the nicest things in the world. And that is a level of spin. I'm spinning it into a new perception. And why was it a nice thing? Because it was trying to protect me. So no longer can it be the worst thing in the world if I feel as if my body is trying to protect me by having anxiety. Now all I have to do is retrain it into true safety. You see, it's just pointing your mind in the right direction and considering, how could this be different in a different light? How can you see that situation, that goal, that problem of yours, that symptom, that issue? How can you see things in a different light, which will either cause you to get a better connection with your unconscious mind to make that change, like I just said right then with my anxiety, it was actually trying to protect me, so I'm going to just begin to retrain it while still keeping the safety, or see that situation in the mind where you actually see it as, a possibility to grow, changing the inner thoughts in our mind, our inner associations through feelings and all things like that. We're changing how we see the world around us. You see, you make up your world. No one else does. The other people might try to influence your world, whether it be from the media, whether it be society, whether it be your best friends, whether it be your partner, your family, your boss, your colleagues, all those things. They might try to influence your world by them operating from their belief system. But it doesn't have to be truth. It doesn't have to be your truth. You have to begin to choose to take on what you want. You see, this is where you take the power back. And that is one of the best steps of changing. It's rather removing yourself from the reasons to the absolute empowerment. Taking responsibility to refuse to buy into what other people believe and actually what you've believed in the past, and ask yourself, well, how can I do things differently? How can I spin this situation where I actually want to go ahead and do it? Or how can I spin it in such a way where it feels so much easier, or spin it in such a way where it causes me to look for answers? And that is going to be the way you're going to change. You see, think of another example. Okay, I've got a good example for you. Say someone who smokes. Some people have told me they just cannot quit smoking. They just cannot do it whatsoever. Now, to me, that's a lie. Anyone can do it, because then I go to them, well, can you sit on a plane for 10 hours and not have a cigarette? And then they suddenly go, well, actually, yeah, I can do that. So you can do 10 hours of not going on a plane. So it is, once again, it's changed their association of I can never give up in that way. The other thing is, what if you could say, what if I put a gun to your head, and I said that if you had another cigarette, would you smoke? They'll go, never again. Couldn't do that, because you're changing the operation. You're changing the value. Life is more important than the cigarette. You see, it's just about changing your perception. And if there's enough will there, if there's enough why, there's enough motivation, you're going to do it anyway. So even if you cannot change your perception on the situation, give yourself a strong motivation, a good willpower. And I'm not saying in a negative way like that example. It's just a way of proving that someone can quit smoking. But what you can do is put more incentive into your goal. Put more incentive as to why it's important to let go of your issue. Some people might say, well, I just want to lose weight. Well, how else can you make that more of an incentive? Maybe buying yourself, when you hit that desired weight, you buy yourself a nice dress or shirt which actually fits you in that new size. Or consider how it would change your relationships, how it would consider your long-term health, your long-term future, how it will change your confidence. Now suddenly losing weight feels that bit better. Now, of course, we can expand upon it and get more detail when it comes to that situation and your goal, because these are just very small, brief examples. But we can expand our association to our goal, or our issue, entirely up to us. We can do exactly what we want. Why? Because we run the mind. Your unconscious mind thinks it's running it for a long period of time, but that's because you've been out of rapport with yourself. You have to get back into rapport by asking the right questions and begin to take control of your thoughts and see the world in a different light. You have that choice, because everyone has the ability. Despite how hard the issue might be cemented, it doesn't mean it has to stay. I've worked with countless of people on the group level or in a one-to-one level who have had the most craziest, biggest issues in the whole world for that person. But very quickly they make changes because they're seeing the world in a different light. And you can do that too, whether it be through my hypnosis, whether it be through mind mastery, where I get to group coach you. So you get to speak to me on the phone in a group setting and I begin to coach you, and you get access to all my big profound audio programs and video courses, all unlimited to you, and all my hypnosis, like all those things. You can do that. You can actually just see someone local to you, or you can read books, or you can listen to podcasts and those things. But the more you start to educate yourself, the more you begin to see the world in a different in a different light even. You will begin to see the world differently. When you change your thoughts, you change your perception. When you change your perception, you change your ability to do other things. And what you could say this is all about is about being flexible. You're being flexible with your thoughts. You're being flexible with your perceptions. Many people feel very locked in. And I completely get that. I completely resonate and understand, because I had similar types of issues where I feel completely stuck. But when I began to ask myself those different questions, like I've said on this video and this audio, you begin to open up your flexibility. You open up your opportunity. So it's almost like your task to consider alternative perceptions. Ask yourself, how can I see this in a different light? How can I do things differently? Many people go and stick with the whys. And as I said, the whys that we have, which create the reasons, really keep us stuck. But if you have the why, which is positive, like why you want to change, then that's obviously different. That's good. But when you go, why can't I do this? You get the reasons. So you want to move yourself from the why of why you can't do this, because that becomes the reasons and excuses, and ask yourself the how. How can I be different? How can I see this in a different light? How can I be able to make changes in my world where I actually begin to learn and thrive? How can I see my issue in a different light? How can I cause my issue to be my biggest motivation? How can I see my issue as my biggest teacher? Because you could say that sometimes issues will be your teacher. I know my issue is my teacher, because if it wasn't for my issue, I would not be on this live video right now. I wouldn't have written a book. I wouldn't have done all these past videos, podcasts, my talks, my seminars, my groups. I wouldn't actually have done that. But I began to learn from it. I began to see it in a different way and utilize it in my advantage. And that's what I mean by being a spin doctor, taking what you see right now and seeing it in a new way, which actually makes you feel more holistically better and more aligned and congruent as to where you want to be. So we're seeing the world differently. That is my task for you. How can you see the world differently? What can you do differently today to be able to see the world or see your issue or see your goal far more easier than ever before? And all it is asking yourself questions and having fun with your own mind, reconnecting with yourself, and realize that you are the controller of your mind. Your conscious mind is the goal setter. Your unconscious mind is the goal getter. So if you begin to change your thoughts and you begin to cultivate the thoughts into your way, because it can take time, your body will respond. Your unconscious mind will respond. But you have to show it who is boss by taking the first step and asking certain different questions. See the world differently and you'll see a different set of results. That is what I've really got to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get on these. Let me just look at a few of these comments, see if I can see these. So people say really, really cool. Okay. It is annoying that doctors can label and treat people according to their labels. That is true. Although I would say I've met some amazing doctors who are very holistic as well. It's about finding the right one. Okay, great. I think that's pretty much what we got on that one. So I really hope you enjoy that, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, I want you to do me a favor and pay it forward by sharing it. And okay, so someone just said, does it make sense that my unconscious mind scares my conscious self? I wouldn't say it does not make sense. But I would say, well, maybe it's just more separated at this point, like you're disconnected. And of course, it can feel as if it wants to protect you. Think about it. Scared or feeling scared is fear. Fear is trying to protect yourself. So maybe your unconscious mind is trying to protect you and it just wants to know the right answer. So what you have to do is speak to it in the right way, which causes it to feel safe. And that is what retraining the mind is about. So that's a great question, Kevin. It could be true, but it's easily corrected once you begin to acknowledge your unconscious mind. As I said, if you're enjoying these videos and you want me to do more, I really go by how many people have commented and how many people have shared this. If it's being shared, I know it's of value because I know that you're enjoying it and you want to be able to help others who maybe be in that situation who needs help. And to me, that is a cooperative movement where we're helping each other. So have the most wonderful day, guys, and I really can't wait to speak to you soon. My intention is to really do these at least 5 times a week. Hold me to it. If you don't see me live, go ahead and leave a Facebook page and also, hey Joseph, you said you'd do these 4 or 5 times a week. So let me know, because I'm here to support you. And like I said, if I get the shares and you like this stuff, then I'll keep on doing them, because I'm here to support. And it just means that you're loving them so much that you want to be able to help others too. And I think that's a good cooperative way of flowing. So have a wonderful day, guys, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon. Bye-bye. This episode was brought to you by Mind Mastery, where you get to personally get access to me so I can answer your questions and coach you and do hypnosis with you to get the success that you desire. Not only that, but you get over 186 hypnosis sessions in day and night version, where half of these are unavailable anywhere online or on the app or the podcast. And you also get all my audio courses, the Complete Confidence, the Happiness Unleashed, the Anxiety Freedom, and the Be Your Potential video course, and so much more. If you want to support the show, if you want to be able to transform your life, go ahead and visit josephclough.info/mindmastery.